Hey, this is Michaela here with the Movement Report for June 2020. We're going to go over some data, some COVID, and some foreclosures. The COVID effect, will it bust BC real estate? We've seen this whole talk about downturn and foreclosures and that kind of stuff, so I want to get into a lot of that. Here are the total number of sales in Abbotsford. 2019 is in blue, the 10-year average is in orange. As you'll see, with COVID, there was a massive downward pressure on the marketplace, and a completely black swan event that pushed the total number of sales way down into the low 100s, and in May it was about 130, and so we were operating at 40% of the regular transactional volume, down obviously 60% from the 10-year average. However, the buyers are still there, and as COVID started to lift, we saw activity in the market increase exponentially. And we have about 268 units in June, and over the 10-year average. Last year was a bit lower, on the 220 mark, and this June we have shot up to 280 units, which is a 215% increase month over month. It's one of the largest month over month increases in history, which obviously speaks to the uniqueness of the COVID situation. Total new listings by June, so this is counting up every new listing month by month until June. So in 2019, the beginning of 2019, it was 2,519 new listings by June 2019. That's very similar to the 2018 numbers. And by June 2020, there was 1,949, so down 29% year over year for new listings. So we've got a lot of sales happening. We've got 29% less new listings in the marketplace, and active listings are down 31%. So June 2019, for that month there was 1,242 units on the market. This month there's 866 units on the market. So again, less property available. Sales to active ratio. So in December of 2019, we really saw the market coming back on. 27.7% is a very high sales to active ratio, especially for December 2019. A balanced market is anywhere from about 12% to 20%, depending on the direction it's going. So to be up in the 27.7% range, that's a massive seller's market. And by April, COVID had crushed that down to 13.3 or 13.1%. And as things began opening back up, we saw it skyrocket in June to 32.3% and upwards of 44% for townhomes. So massively a seller's market right now, less inventory on the market, and days on market are going down from 20 to 13. So we're seeing all these things kind of align to put upward pressure on the market. Now, I've had a lot of conversations with people recently about timing the market and people considering rolling the dice, selling the principal residence, and jumping back in the market in a year or two when prices have come down 20%. A lot of the media and a lot of these experts that are in the media aren't actually in the local market, and they're the people that are willing to go and be quoted as being doomsdayer and saying all these terrible things that are going to happen in the market. And a lot of these people have been preaching that the market's going to collapse for the last 25 years straight. Now, will there be short-term corrections? There always is, little ups and downs here and there, but as far as the long-term ride on the market, it's an absolute rocket ship. Even in the 2008 crash in Abbotsford, the average real estate price went down about 10%. We've seen that swing recently. We've seen a swing of upwards to 8 or 9%, and going back about 12 months. So it wasn't even really a blip. So what we're seeing is people kind of hoping for foreclosures, and foreclosures aren't really a thing in Canada like they are in the United States. Canadians pay their mortgage. We have 5 very strong big banks. They're not interested in foreclosing on properties. And people are seeing articles out there saying, when this whole mortgage deferral happens, there's going to be a ton of foreclosures, and foreclosures could almost double in the total number of foreclosures on the market. Well, I want to show you what that doubling means. Here's a graph that shows the number of residential mortgages in arrears in Canada. So British Columbia, we have 0.15% of mortgages that are in arrears. That's not even being foreclosed on. That's just in arrears. That's 3 months without payments. So what happens in Canada is somebody loses their job or becomes disabled or has a nasty divorce or something like that, and they can't pay their mortgage. Well, the banks are in touch with them. They go back and forth. They can't pay their mortgage. It's been 3 months or whatever. The bank isn't really interested in foreclosing on the property because it's not that advantageous for them. It's not like the United States. So here, they basically get them to list it on the market. They sell their property at the market value, and they discharge the mortgage. They pay off the mortgage, and the bank's happy. For it to go to foreclosure, typically in BC, it's due to a massive levy that's been charged on a building. Say there's a strata and there's a $65,000 bill coming. The person doesn't have that kind of money. They go to sell the place. It's harder to sell because to get the financing on that, typically you need upwards of 50%. So banks are a little hesitant to lend on something that has that kind of repair coming, and so you have situations where that might go to foreclosure. The way foreclosure works here in Canada is you have the official foreclosure happens, the property is listed on the market, there's an accepted offer. When that accepted offer happens, a court date is set. That accepted offer price is public, so everybody knows what that number was. And then the realtor will work to get everybody to show up to the court on the court date to put an offer in on that property. So you'll have, sometimes it's 5 people, sometimes it's 15 people, sometimes it's 25 people. And they'll show up and they all put a sealed envelope bid, hand it into the judge, and the judge will open them and read out the bids. And oftentimes there's, a colleague of ours had 3 of the exact same price, so those 3 people had to resubmit a bid. 2 of them were the same, and they had to submit a bid again. So the property value first hits the market. It's not publicly disclosed that it's a foreclosure. It's disclosed to realtors. It gets an offer. It goes to court. It gets bid up. Oftentimes, it's sold for at or near or even over what the market value would have been. So this kind of fear of massive foreclosures and a massive market downturn is frankly unrealistic. Could there be a short-term downturn? Could there be corrections here and there? Of course, there always will be. But as far as real estate and your principal residence, time in the market, and even investment properties, time in the market is far more important than timing the market. We have a client that wanted to time the market one time, and against our advice, listed the property. It was in 2017 and mid-2017, and sold the property at about 20% less than what it actually peaked out at eventually. They took the money, just paid off their car loans, paid off their credit cards, thought they were going to be in a great position, and in about 3-4 months, when the market tanked in December, they were just going to buy back in, and they were going to be laughing. Unfortunately, they've been caught on the sidelines since 2017. It's 2020. They've missed 3 years of mortgage paydown. They've missed 3 years of equity appreciation, about 20%. And it's just more often than not that it doesn't work out. And typically you may hear the story of that one person that timed the market perfectly, because that's the kind of stuff that gets spread, but you rarely hear the 9 or 10 or 12 other stories of the people that it didn't quite work out for. So don't roll the dice with your personal residence. Don't sell and try to time and buy back in and things like that. Just keep paying down the mortgage, let the equity appreciate over the long term, and stay in as long as you can. This is Michele from Movement Group. Reach out to us, movementgroup.ca. Michele at movementgroup.ca, 604-613-5858. Let me know if you have any questions, text, call, email, Facebook, Instagram. You know where we're at. Thanks.